Now, the government is announcing an extra £8.3 billion in funding for road repairs as it steers cash away from its now defunct HS2 projects.
The money will be spent over 11 years in a bid to make journeys smoother and safer while trying to win the support of drivers ahead of an election next year.
But Britain's leading pothole campaigner, Mr Pothole, says it's only a fraction of what's needed. Our reporter Will Hollis has this story.
Meet your nemesis, potholes. Mark is a council's nightmare, yet every driver's dream. But even after a decade of campaigning for road repairs, Mr Pothole can still be shocked.
Oh, that's wrecked me steering.
Today's target, Marston St Lawrence. A quiet corner of Northamptonshire, plagued with pothole problems nonetheless.
You can see the cracking and crazing there where the water's got in and it's breaking it down. It's now started to break down the base course rather than the wearing course. The wearing course is the top 40-50 mil, but once it starts getting into the base course, it won't take long before that ends up into a crater.
Potholes are a nationwide nuisance. The AA says it's been called to 450,000 incidents this year alone. Lee is one of the many unfortunate drivers to face a pothole and lose.
The wheel cracked, and where the tyre had hit the edge of the pothole, it actually split the sidewall.
His car and wallet took a beating.
I'm a pensioner, so I'm not sort of rolling in money. Don't run a Rolls Royce, just running a very old car. It's another £250 I can't really afford.
But there's hope. Today, the government is announcing billions in extra funding for road repairs that should have been spent on HS2. In Surrey, the County Council is fixing fractures with the Transport Secretary Mark Harper in tow. The government is offering fresh funding for 5,000 miles of repairs worth £8.3 billion over 11 years.
Everyone who uses roads is going to benefit from this announcement about improving the quality of local roads. It's the top priority for drivers, and I make no apology for delivering what they want to see.
Road repairing councils must publish how they spend the money. The Local Government Association has welcomed the boost, but estimates the bill for overdue repairs has already reached £14 billion. Back in Northamptonshire, Mark says the money is a fraction of what's needed.
Any new money for road maintenance I would welcome, but it's only bringing it back to what they were spending in 2019.
Is this the beginning of a journey toward a pothole-free Britain, or just a cushion ahead of a long and bumpy ride? Will Hollis, GB News.
Well, earlier we spoke to Secretary of State for Transport Mark Harper and asked him about the scheme and what it means going forwards.
This is actually the dividend from having made the difficult decision to cancel the second phase of HS2. So that's freed up a lot of resources. So what we're announcing today is some of the detail about that. £8.3 billion. That is over an 11-year period. We're announcing £150 million this year, £150 million next year, and we're setting out the allocations to local authorities. That will give them, and by the way, what they're getting over the next 11 years, that will give them the single largest increase ever in the amount of money available for the quality of local roads. It's enough to resurface over 5,000 miles of roads, and it means local authorities can really start putting a significant amount of more resources into improving the quality of local roads. That's something that's the top priority for 96% of drivers in the country, and something that we're very keen to deliver. And we're also going to implement rules so that councils have to be very transparent about what they're spending the money on, so that they can be held to account by their local electorates.
OK, well, now we're joined by the man himself, Mr Pothole, Mark Morrell. Good morning to you, Mark. Always a pleasure. So, you've been campaigning on this for years, the pothole black hole, £8 billion chucked into it. Must be a good news day for you.
I think in terms of direction of investing extra money, yes. I think the thing of making councils reportable to their electorate for spending, yes. But it's nowhere near the magnitude. Mark Harper talks about 5,000 miles of road. That's 2% of the total road network in the UK. So a recent report said that 1 in 5 roads, so 50% of our 20% of our roads need massive investment over the next 5 years. So, I estimate after this 11-year period, our backlog will be at 25 to 30 billion pound, not 14 billion pound as it is. It's not even enough to resurface the roads in North Yorkshire.
Well, we Westminster watchers joke that we know an election's going to be coming up soon because MPs start desperately talking about potholes. They know it's something that people really, really care about, and they promise that they're going to fix it. Do you think that's what this is, really? Is it that the government has suddenly found a new interest in potholes, or is it just desperately trying to scrape up a few more votes ahead of an election?
I think it's votes for the election, to be honest. I mean, every politician, whether it be local councillor or MP, knows they're going to get it on the doorstep. Road users are being battered in terms of costs, with tens of billions of pounds in all sorts of taxation, very little being spent on our roads. I mean, with this extra funding, when it fully comes on stream, it will only bring it back up to what they were spending in 2019. And that's, 50% of what was being spent in 2006. So, if you're allowed for inflation, we should be putting in nearly £6 or £7 billion a year, not, £2 billion is going to be offered over the next 11 years.
But nevertheless, Mark, it is a good news day for you. One Sense, a report was out this week, of course, that the average bill is £404 if you go through a pothole. People get really annoyed about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only that. I mean, you've got to look at cyclists. It's reported that 1 a week is either killed or seriously injured as a result of potholes. And over 70 motorbikers a year are killed or seriously injured as a result of badly maintained roads. And it's also costing the UK economy. There has been previous reports back over 10 years ago that it was costing £5 billion a year to the economy through badly maintained roads. With inflation and rolling it forward, you're probably looking at double that. Smart investment, an extra £3 billion a year every year on the same process that the councils have to show exactly what they're doing each year before they get extra funding going forward, then that would make a significant difference. But at the moment, it's too little, really too late.
OK, Mr Pothole, Mark Morrell. Well done, mate. I think Mark Harper has been listening to you and he's finally found £8 billion down the back of the sofa in Downing Street.